Okay, so this will be a feedback slash critique for Master of Fight. Wasn't your name different? Did you change it? Hmm, interesting. Anyway, I think I've already talked to you about like why the delays. It's just life was just really fucking busy for like the last month and a half. Yeah, same. You know the drill. All right, I go by Shazam on the Discords. You've seen me around here and there, right? I am by no means a Tekken professional, right? I'm just someone who really likes the game and I like Paul. I think he's really fun. The ideas that I'm going to talk about in this video, the feedback I'm going to give you is going to come from my experience of playing Paul, playing Tekken, fighting Paul, watching Tekken gameplay, all this other stuff, right? It is by no means gospel, right? It's just me going, hey, here are some ideas I think you should try out. Or here is me pointing something out and going, what's going on here? Let's analyze the situation and what could be done differently. Why are you doing the things you were doing? Right? What could be done differently? Yeah, this is pretty self-explanatory. Not much else to say. I don't think. Okay, well, Sampi talked about it here. Yeah, so we mainly talked about the matchup knowledge, which I did recognize a lot. Your style is a lot more aggressive, and I'm not an aggressive Paul player by any means. So a lot of my advice may not apply to you, and you may not like to apply it. More power to you, right? I'm not saying by any means that this is the only way to play Paul. I just think defensive is more favored towards Paul because it just really aligns with all of his tools and how he's designed, right? It's not, again, it's not the only way, but you don't have to do as much to cover up Paul's weaknesses when it comes to being an aggressive player. He's just not designed to really be up in the opponent's face and constantly throw up the aggression, as well as other characters are designed to take advantage of that style. So, you know, my opinion and my feedback's gonna really reflect that. So let's just get started. So already you're gonna see this Josie do a lot of strings. I'm not gonna talk about them. I'm just gonna point them out like, hey, duck this, duck that. You gotta lab the strings against Josie. If they start doing strings, your life is over, right? All of her strings are deceptively good, right? They look good on paper. You're like, wow, this string is crazy, especially the ones that go into switch stance, right? But here's the thing: is that she's not Fakamram, right? Her strings are ass, and especially once you get used to like fighting them and ducking them on reaction to punish for a big whiff punish, right? That should be your goal, right? Especially if she finishes a lot of her strings that she finishes, she goes all the way. Once she inputs that button, they go all the way, and then she's in switch stance. And you have to be taking advantage of that for the free damage. If you don't know her string cheese, you're just going to get blown up, straight up. And if you don't know how to handle switch, but we'll talk about that later. Pretty sure that's punishable, or you can duck the last hit, but I don't remember. So again, like, don't use trooper roll. Just don't. It's gonna be a bad habit, right? Opponents who are more knowledgeable will sidestep you, and you're not gonna gain anything from being range 0 against Josie. Josie's down forward 1 and her generic Tekken tools aren't like amazing, but she's got a fantastic magic 4. She's got a solid standing 3. She has an amazing low in 1+4, right? That to force switch mix-ups. She has all these tools that are all pretty relatively low risk, right? I think 1+4 is kind of risky because you can duck it and then she'll still be committed to switch. But the best punish you're gonna get is still only wall standing 3-2. You cannot launch 1+4 if you duck it, right? Because 1+4 still is fast enough to go into switch and press switch 1 and it will beat anything slower than 13 frames. So you have to be mindful of these things of like, okay, yes, I can use trooper roll kind of against my opponent because they don't sidestep that much, but do you want to? What do you gain from approaching Josie and staying in her face? Like, why? What is the game plan here? Right? It's just something, again, this is just my personal opinion, but you just don't gain anything from being up in Josie's face all the time. You want her to approach you, you want her to start throwing out moves that you can challenge or disrupt and stuff like that, and you want to methodically approach with dash blocking, and once you're in a comfortable spacing, start chipping in with lows. Yeah, she's scarier than your normal matchups because she has wall standing 2-1, right? She does have a 13 frame crouching launcher, but it's like, okay, she doesn't have all the other tools that are necessary in order to like really give you trouble though, right? You can argue that like, oh, well, she shuts down core circle forward 3 and it's like your best low. It's like, okay, core circle forward 3 is still unseeable, right? If your timing is not, if you're not just too predictive with your timing and you're using it for chip damage sparingly, it's still free chip damage you can be getting, right? And it's not like you suddenly lose this matchup because of one low, right? She still has to deal with all your other tools. She just has a good answer for one of them. And if you just mix up your timings, right, your unseeable low is still unseeable, so you'll be fine. That 1-2-2 is punishable. Make sure you punish it. That was a weird whiff punish decision. If you see this Josie use this move a lot, I love this move. This move is ass when it's done from far away, right? Let's look at the distance she's using it at. From this distance, you see her advancing and trying to use forward 4. That move is dog shit at that range, right? The move is really good because what it is that it's not her leg, that's the hitbox, it's a knee, right? And because of that, the range is just awful, right? But that's the thing, it's that it's a knee, so you can't parry it, which is good, and it's a counter hit launcher, but if she's doing it from that far away, trying to like approach you, she's just asking to die because the hitbox disappears within like half a second, right? As weird as it sounds, that approaching homing move is much better used up close than from far away, because she should die if she tries to do that. So I would try to tighten up the whiff punish here. Like, this should have been down forward 2, right? Part of it is matchup knowledge. Like, you have to know that that move has a shitty hitbox in order to, you know, be preemptively ready with down forward 2. But part of it is also just kind of like, all right, they're approaching from stupidly far away. I'll just throw out down forward 2 and they'll just run into it, right? It's just sort of knowing like, okay, my opponent's like super aggressive and they're just running into my buttons. Let's see. Right, let's test it out. Throw out the button. If they run into it, awesome. If they don't, now you know for the future. It's like, okay, they're not as likely to run into my buttons. But you can't just let them throw out risky moves like that for free. All right, what was the mindset here? What was going on here? All right, why? She did a mid. Before this, right? She whiffed down forward 2 and did down forward 2 again. What was the reasoning behind this? Right? Why would you bother with this? Right. Again, when you use a move in a match, Sampi talked about it. It's like, what is the purpose behind the move? Why are you doing this? What is your opponent doing that would make you go, okay, I should use this move here? Right? What do you gain from it? What is it offering you, and how does that help you? Just stuff to think about. It's that like this is a hard thing to do, right? Talking about just like thinking while you're in a match, and it's hard. It's really hard, no doubt. But it's something that you need to practice. It's a skill that you need to develop, because as you think in a match, as you progress, and you keep playing and you start thinking, it starts becoming automatic. The only way to raise your baseline level of playing Tekken is playing a lot of Tekken, but with purpose. Yes, it's annoying at the start. It's very draining to like constantly be thinking about all these options. But as you do it more, as you practice and develop, and a lot of these options, a lot of these thought processes become automatic. And that's just how it is for Tekken. She helped him. was a good demo, man. But it should have been Corsical 4-3, but whatever, that's fine. Nice. Yeah, exactly, right? So she's running at you, just throw it out. Good break. Okay, so it's very predictable, but, you know, why go for a throw, right? They're at so low health that any low would kill them. Why go for the throw? A throw can mimic similar, or can offer similar functionality to a low, but at the end of the day, you're doing a low with extra steps. Yes, it is unseeable. Yes, it breaks the opponent's guard, but it's not guaranteed, right? If the opponent's mashing, they can be lucky and break the grab, and now you just put yourself at slight disadvantage, but you reset to neutral when a simple low could have done the job, right? And even then, right? And that's just layer one. Layer two is that, okay, yes, a lot of people expect lows to finish off the round, so then you should be doing mids, right? Who's got a bunch of bullshit safe mids in the game? Oh, I mean, Heihachi, but also Paul, right? Course Look Back 2 is a godlike tool. Should use it. Always use it, right? And when, especially in these rounds where a lot of people are going to be expecting low, just keep doing mids. Oh no, they blocked it. Well, due to the pushback and the fact that it's also safe, you just basically reset to neutral, right? Just don't move around too much. Don't try to throw anything else out. Just Core Circle Back 2. Pause. Opponent reassesses. They're like, shit, all right, I guess I got to keep blocking that. And you just keep doing it until they die, right? As long as they're blocking it, you're fine. And as they get frustrated because they're like, fuck, he just keeps doing Core Circle Back 2 all day, I should do something. Then your opportunity to like chip them in and seal a round will arrive. But just running in and doing a throw when they're already expecting a low because it's like the last bit of round and they're always like, all right, he's probably going to chip kill me with the low, is not the play. It's just not. Nice. Alright. That's another thing of just in general, right? If the opponent just whiffed a big button, back one too, right? You gotta be on edge. Like, yeah, you need fast reactions, but again, just playing the game and then being on the lookout for this stuff, it'll eventually become automatic, right? I mean, the sad part is like you stop playing for a while and then you just lose all your skills, but this just happens. Oh my god, how'd you backdash switch one? I didn't even see that. That's really funny. Alright, welcome to lesson number 1 about Josie. Don't press into switch. Just don't. Right? Plenty of options that you have. You can duck, you can do a low, you can just block, because nothing she does from switch is scary, even if switch 3 hits you and it's like, oh no, I took some damage, it's like, it's -1, right? What is Josie gonna do at -1, right? Not gonna talk about this that more. You need to lab it. You need to make sure to remember, okay, I think they're gonna do switch 1. I'm gonna duck and launch them for it. Make sure you launch them, because if you duck them and don't do anything, you just get like an okay punish with like while standing 4. They're not gonna be scared. They need to be scared and think like, holy fuck, he duck and launched my switch, I have to like change up my options, and then you can adjust, right? All of the options except switch 1 you can disrupt, you can interrupt with jabs, right? And switch 1 you have to duck, but if you start ducking and launching them for it, that's a huge damage momentum in your favor. It's a huge swing of momentum. But if you don't do that and you press into switch 1, you're gonna die. And this person's doing 4-3 loops. They're pretty legit. Those 4-3 loops are hard, especially online. And for some reason, you're a Wi-Fi player, RIP. But, you know, they're the real deal. I read, as I said, that they do 4-2-3. What is it? 4-2-3-3 in neutral. So, okay, maybe not. Wait, is 4-2-3-3 a fucking... Is that shit launch punishable? Oh my god, it is. Why would you do that? Oh my god. Alright, anyway. Well, you pressed into it, so it didn't matter. Oh, no, that's the one that's... You can duck it, right? Yeah. You can duck that last hit. I would just block because they can do the mid option, and the mid is launch punishable. This is not a real mix-up, but anyway. I spoke too soon. Yeah, she has some strings you need to low parry, but just, I don't know, just low parry and then practice it, but it's whatever. You dig jabbing in a 4-3+4. That was really, I haven't seen that. Alright, this one, it's a mid, right? I know speed kicks has that whole like blasted salami thing where he's like, oh, just look at them block sparks. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. But you gotta I don't think this is a situation you need to lab. Like, this is a mid, right? I think this is one of the more obvious ones. Now, granted, it might not be obvious to everybody, sure, but I'm letting you know now. This is a mid, and this move that she's doing, forward 3. That kick she just did is incredibly linear, right? You need to be able to sidestep this. It's one of her best tools on block and on hit, right? If she's able to do this for free on you, right? This shit is, I want to say it's reactable. It's like 24 frames. Holy shit, yeah, it's like 25 because of the input, right? If she's advancing on you like that, you need to start sidestepping, and then once you sidestep, excuse me, you can start doing stuff, right? She can't just be doing this for free on you. Especially the last one, the instant wall running thing, I'm pretty sure you can still sidestep those, but right, because you're not sidestepping, now your back is to the wall, and all they did was a really linear, really slow move from one end of the screen to the other. This kind of leans into like mashup knowledge, but just in general, right? If the opponent is repeating a same move on you time and time again, you need to vary up how you're answering it, right? Like ducking didn't work. Okay, well then just tech roll into, start sidestepping, start moving around, experiment with different reactions and different responses, and see which ones work for you. I don't know. We'll talk about it. This, I don't agree with this rage usage here, right? You gotta. This is your best tool, right? The moment you use this up at this situation, the opponent basically wins, right? There is nothing scary about Paul in this life deficit without rage. You can't just give up your best tool like that. I think you have to be a lot more conservative with how you use rage. There's no wall behind Josie, so you don't get a guaranteed mix-up. The Josie didn't really whiff anything. I don't know. Rage, Paul in rage completely changes how the game is played, right? Everybody starts freaking the fuck out, and you need to be able to take advantage of that. If you use it up too early, you're not at, like, just simply standing there in rage as Paul adds to the opponent's mental stack, right? Even the craziest straight hit can lead to death, or leads to a big ass combo, which then leads to death on the mix up, right? It's one of your best tools, and you need to utilize it, because a lot of times the best way to utilize it is just not even press it. You don't even need to use it. You just need to make your opponent afraid of it, right? I guess wall standing 3-2 is a parryable one. Gotta duck those. Gotta duck. Gotta punish that, the hop kick. Good low parry. This, you block You block this, right? Or is she doing it? You block this, you need to launch her. You have to launch her, right? It's 14 frames. It's one of the few moves. There's a few, but it's one of the few moves. Paul just gets a free back 3. Very few characters get that. It's very important to have a 14 frame launcher. And if that situation comes up where Josie's mix-up is normally not as punished heavily for this, you need to punish it. You gotta stop pressing into these counter hits. Like, they're gonna eat you alive. Josie's damage is usually pretty shit. Like, it's just like 60s, right? It's like Paul's damage. But if they can do the forward 3 loops, they're gonna get a shitload of damage, and you don't wanna be that. And they seem to have these down pretty well. That's like the 6th Switch one I've seen this game. No comment here. You gotta lap it up. That was a good mix-up, but no, that's okay. I don't know why the video is doing this, but it's pretty funny. Rip. Yeah, just your opponent got a lot of free damage. There's not much to say here. Your opponent got a lot of free damage because of the lack of matchup knowledge. So I'm not going to talk about that too much. Let's talk about what I want to talk about. Let's dive right into it. Neutral, punishment / matchup knowledge, combos / Oki personal opinion stuff. Neutral. You need to revamp your approach. Approaching with trooper roll isn't going to go anywhere. It's not going to lead you anywhere. You're building up a bad habit that'll get you killed in the future. Trooper roll on Oki is okay. Trooper roll in the neutral, the way you're using it, will get you killed against stronger opponents. Right? If you're doing it on purpose, like, you know the risks with trooper roll and you're still doing it, that's more power to you. It is a free country. You can do what you wish. But if it's a habit, like if you think that if this is your ingrained approach, you can't be doing that. You gotta chill, right? Otherwise, it's gonna get you killed sooner rather than later. If you're not sure what to do, Paul's approach is very bare bones, right? You got dash blocking, you got core circle forward 3, and you got the occasional forward 2-1. Right? You can't. You have to use just fundamentals and just dash block, core circle forward 3, the fundamentals of core circle forward 3, and just edge your way in. Because if you start relying on big Hail Mary moves like forward 4 and all this other stuff, you're gonna die. You're just straight up gonna die. Poking just is also non-existent from you. It's just a lot of like power moves and stuff, and you gotta start practicing poking with jabs, practice poking with down forward 1, practice poking a lot with core circle forward 3, even in matchups where they can launch you. It's like, all right, whatever, they gotta block it, they gotta block this unseal below, and as long as your timing is solid, you'll be fine, right? I'm not saying your entire low arsenal has to consist of core circle forward 3, right? Side step 3 is there. Maybe back 3, but it's like you're risking a lot more with back 3 for getting launched. But you can't be doing that, right? You can't be just, all right, I'm just not gonna do any lows. I'm just I'm not gonna give my opponent any reasons to duck. And as much as I love Paul's throw game, and I do like his throws, like, they are not a sufficient reason to force people into ducking, right? They are not guaranteed. Right, even if you think like, oh, I can throw the opponent here, they're too busy doing something else. If you throw them out of something, it's still not guaranteed, right? You got kind of lucky, half luck, half conditioning, that they didn't break it. But you're like, yes, you get more damage, but over a period of the match, right? If you have like a bunch of throws and a few of them are unsuccessful, but you have a bunch of successful core circle forward 3s, right, or other chip lows, you'll rack up more damage. All right. And they both carry the same risk, especially in this matchup, right? You carry the risk of getting ducked. But if you get ducked and then Josie starts doing If she ducks a throw and then launches you, she can start doing forward 3 loops, right? If she blocks a low, if she blocks core circle forward 3 or blocks sidestep 3, at best with sidestep 3, all she's getting is, wall standing 4, right? If she blocks core circle for 3, yes, she will launch you, but she's not going to get that great of a combo either, right? She's going to get 60 damage, and it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot for a punish, but it's less than it would be if you went for a throw. You see what I'm saying? Like how the risk reward, even when the low becomes launch punishable when it normally isn't, is still a lot in your favor, right? You want to use throws sparingly because 1, Paul doesn't really have a cheaty throw game, and then 2, throws suck in Tekken 7, but that's a different story. And then 3, it's just kind of like it's a thing that should be added, it's like sprinkled on there, right? To make your opponent wary of these things, but you don't want to, you want to use options where your opponent has little control as possible, right? Against lows, they can't, Paul doesn't, as long as you're not doing something like full crutch down forward 1+2, right? The reactable stuff. Paul, Demo Man, sidestep 3, core circle 4-3, back 4, core circle 4-3 and back 4 on like the borderline of seeable, right? Core circle 4-3 is basically unseeable. Back 4 is on that borderline, right? Like you're looking at 20 frames. But that's the thing of like, the opponent has very little counterplay they can do against those lows. They can't just like option select those lows when you use them in a match, right? They have to have a read on your timing and they have to block. Versus a throw, they have to have a read on your timing and they can't block it, but if they duck it or even if you grab them, they have an opportunity to break it, right? You're giving your opponent control in a situation they normally wouldn't. So, try to use more lows. Don't rely too much on throws, but sprinkle them in there. I just think you got to use more lows. You got to give your opponent more reasons to duck, so your other mids have an actual bit of threat to them. And I think I talked about it in the Future Beats video, but that's the ebb and flow of Paul, right? You start doing a bunch of lows, and they're like, well, fuck, I guess I got to start ducking these. I can't just keep letting them get away with free chip damage. And then they eat one mid, and then they go, holy fuck this character, fuck Bamco. Right? That's the beauty of Paul. It's amazing. It's a great feeling. Highly, highly recommend doing that to somebody. All right, talked about neutral, talked about your approach, poking, just need to revamp your poking suite, just your moves. Again, it's not that you're using, I shouldn't be talking about this. I'm not. Sampy already talked about it, just revamp how you're using it. Stop using all this unsafe stuff. Punishment / matchup knowledge. You got to study this matchup. If it's a character you run into a lot, you got to study up this matchup and just start going like, what the fuck do I do against this character? You don't need to know everything, but you need to understand how to handle switch and how to handle switch transitions, right? They can't just keep doing strings on you, right? You're throwing away a lot of damage by letting them do like all these strings on you for nothing. Other aspects of punishment. With punishment, I also talked about, right? It kind of leaned into the matchup knowledge, but part of it is with punishment is like, if your opponent's really far away throwing it at you, there's a likely chance that their move that they're doing, if they're too far away, will just whiff, and you need to be on point with the whiff punishment. That's just something that'll come with practice, so it's not much else to say. Just be on the lookout for these opportunities. Combos / Oki. I thought your Oki was solid. I thought your combos were solid. Your Oki is a bit weird. It's a bit weird. But off the top of my head, I can't remember what I was going to say. Let me see if there's a... So you do full crouch, down for 2. Yeah, the Oki could also use a bit more work. Like, you should not be doing manual ultimate tackle as your Oki, right? You're very likely going to get counter hit out of that, and you need to be aware of that, right? So experiment a bit more with Oki options, especially at the wall. Like, you could be doing so much more. A lot of course will go back to, a lot of flows and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. Or discussion for another time. Personal opinion stuff, right? options that I think are neat, but your mileage may vary. Paul's got some of the best lows in the game. Use them. Corso 4-3 is a top tier low. Use it. Use it, and abuse it. Corso Go Back 2 is a really fucking powerful mid. Maybe not like top tier because, you know, it's not like Law Dragon Hammer. It's not like Heihachi Ford 4 or something. But it's something that just really adds to Paul's toolkit and forces the opponent to go, what the fuck is this character, right? So definitely need to be using that more. But it's not going to do anything for you if you're not giving your opponent reasons to duck, right? So establish first the conditioning of, I'm going to make you duck. Once you've started to get them ducking, right, then just start slamming out Corso Go Back 2. And if they start moving around, then you start doing up back 2, back 1, whatever else, right? There's a lot of ebb and flow here. You got a lot of just like, you got to see what your opponent is doing and react accordingly. But yeah. Other aspects. Personal. I think I talked about a lot of what I want to get out of my head. There's not really much else to say for me. Right. Snappy already talked about it. Use more down forward 1. Just use more pokes. Like, jabs are really good. Corso 4-3 is really good. Down back 4 is really good. Like, it causes disruption in the opponent, and just utilizing that in terms of movement, in terms of disrupting your opponent's pressure, and then how do they respond to that? It's a lot of powerful tools at your disposal. Yeah. Anything else I want to think about? Forward 1+2 as well. Like, I didn't see a single forward 1+2, and I think that move is really good, but I think you need to focus more on reining in your gameplay, right? Or if you're gonna be very aggressive, right? If you're gonna, you know, just try to utilize every single bit of momentum you get, which is completely valid, right? If you want to play that way, you can, but you need to back it up with matchup knowledge, right? You can't just go into random matches with Paul and then expect to maintain the same level of dominance over the neutral as other characters, right? You don't have a game-changing tool that you can use to just kind of like throw off what your opponent is doing. You're not Marduk with tackle, you're not Fakumram with strings, you're not just Leroy, but so definitely, you know, take that into consideration, and you know, just try to formulate a game plan of, all right, this is what I'm going to do to condition the opponent, and this is my response when they're conditioned, and then reset, vice versa, etc., etc., etc. If you have any questions, you're in the Discord, you're in Paul, just feel free to ask. It's been very active lately. Really proud of them. I didn't do shit, and they're doing everything. They're cool. Bunch of cool people there, right? Just, if you have questions, we're here to help, right? All right, man. Stay safe.